What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to Jones Vibes. Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1 is now here, and so I figured it's a good time to rank all of the movies in the franchise, and so let's get going. Alright, so as you might know if you follow my channel, Mission Impossible is my favorite action franchise of all time. It's just phenomenal, and what Tom Cruise manages to achieve with every single film is just unbelievable. And honestly, in my opinion, every single movie is great, but I still want to rank them. So let's start from the bottom and go to the top. So my least favorite Mission Impossible movie is probably Mission Impossible 2. It's directed by John Woo, who is a great director. It's just, with this movie, the camera work specifically, there's all these weird zoom-ins, and just the things felt different from the first movie. It almost feels like they hadn't quite nailed down what the franchise was gonna be, but still, you had Ethan Hunt, you had Tom Cruise, you had Thandie Newton in there. It's a fun movie, but it's probably my least favorite. But moving on to number 6, I would probably say the original Mission Impossible. And that's not to discredit this movie at all. I mean, it's amazing. It started this franchise of films. I think it's, for me, more so, it's just that it's dated a little bit. So when you do a rewatch of all of them, it's just the clear-cut oldest movie of all of them. But still, it is a classic. You got Jon Voight in there, you got Emilio Estevez. I actually saw Emilio in an airport once, and I said, "Emilio!" and he tipped his hat like this. But moving on to 5, and I would probably have to say Mission Impossible 3. This is the movie that introduces the Michelle Monaghan love story, and I think that that was great for the franchise. You also have Philip Seymour Hoffman adding this villainous performance that really sets the tone for the rest of the films. He kind of broke that barrier, and his performance is great. I love when he's like, "Do you have somebody close to you? Because whoever it is, I'm gonna hurt him." Like, that whole monologue he has in the airplane with Ethan, it's just incredible, and I love that movie, I really do. But moving on to number 4, and honestly, at this point, after watching Dead Reckoning Part 1, it's really hard as we get towards the top here, but I would have to say my number 4 is probably Rogue Nation. It's tough, and it's a toss-up. This is the film that introduced Rebecca Ferguson as Elsa, and this is also Christopher McQuarrie's first film directing. Or at least I think so. Him and Tom Cruise have worked together a lot, so maybe he was a producer on Ghost Protocol, I'm not sure, but this is kind of like when David Yates took over the Harry Potter franchise. All of a sudden, everything started to feel the same. You have villains carrying on from one film to the next, and it all kind of starts to lock together. And I think that's what has made the Mission Impossible franchise sustain over the years. You keep coming back and you keep expecting the same quality. It's not switching up, whereas from Mission Impossible 1 to Mission Impossible 2, there was a bit of a switch up. But moving on to the top 3, and this movie is very special to me. It could easily be my favorite of the franchise. It's Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. This is the movie that introduces Jeremy Renner's character. You have Ethan Hunt. You have all of the Dubai stuff. This is when Tom Cruise really started to take things to new heights. He's free climbing on the outside of the tallest building, I believe, in the world in Dubai. It's just absolutely insane. There's also some of the humor that comes in with Simon Pegg. You have them kind of poking fun at the mask stuff, like the masks suddenly aren't working. I love all that. It was directed by Brad Bird. He did The Incredibles. He's a very, very good director. Honestly, I remember after Ghost Protocol, when they announced Rogue Nation and they were switching directors, I was a little bit disappointed because I loved Brad Bird's style so much. But obviously, we know how everything's gone. It's just gotten better and better. But yeah, moving on to the top 2, ladies and gentlemen. And I would have to say, this is about as close a call as you could get. Now, after seeing Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1, I'd have to say that it is my number 2. And I don't know, I'm going to have to rewatch it. I'm going to see Dead Reckoning Part 1 again, and this could very well change, but, you know, it was a phenomenal movie. It blew my mind. But my number 1 is Mission Impossible Fallout. There is something about Fallout that just absolutely took my breath away in theaters. It's probably my favorite action movie of all time. Something about Henry Cavill and just, oh my gosh, that helicopter scene at the end. But if you've seen the newest Mission Impossible, you know that the stunts are just getting bigger and bigger. And I love where they have gone with this Part 1. And I think that Part 2, Dead Reckoning, it could probably end up taking the cake. If they end up going bigger and bigger, this is just a part one, and it was a phenomenal movie, and it's crazy that it's still kind of just like a standalone film in itself. I love that about it. But I feel like part two is just going to be absolutely insane, and I'm so looking forward to it. But yeah, my top two really are like on the same exact level, because Dead Reckoning Part 1 absolutely blew my mind. If you haven't seen it yet, I highly recommend going and seeing it. I also just put out a review for it. Most of it is non-spoilers, and I do talk about some spoilers at the end, but I give a warning before I do. So make sure you check it out, and also I want to turn this over to you guys. Please let me know down in the comments what your Mission Impossible rank would be. It's always fun to see how everybody's list is different, and so make sure to put that down there because I would love to check it out. Also, give this video a like if you would. I work really hard on this content, and the support means more than you guys could ever know. So keep on coming back. I make content here at Jones Vibes Weekly, so if you're looking for more film and television talk, make sure to subscribe. And also, keep up the good vibes, guys. But that's my rank for the Mission Impossible franchise, and I'll probably do it all again in like a year or so when part 2 comes out. Dun, 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 dun.
Jones Vibes.